All right, as requested, this is the equations of lines worksheet, and I'm just going to do the odd problems. All right, let's do it. Okay, so they give you a graph. There you go. And you need to find 2 points that you're sure of. And so those 2 points are going to be 0, -4, and 2, 2. Okay, now that you have 2 points, you need to plug into the formula for slope, which is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I label each point, and then I plug in. y2 is 2 minus y1 is -4 over x2 is 2 minus x1, which is 0. Here you're going to add a line, change the sign, and you get 6 over 2, which is 3. So the slope that we're going to use is 3, and then you're just going to choose one of your points. If you have the option, always choose a point that has 0 in it. Now you need to plug into point slope form, because you have a point and a slope. So again, label your point. Y minus y1 is -4 equals m, which is your slope, times x minus 0. That's why we choose the 0, because that'll go away. Then you will add a line, change the sign, and you get y plus 4 is equal to, distribute the 3x. Now this problem, they asked for it in slope-intercept form, so I need it to be in y equals mx plus b. So I need to isolate my y. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and you get y equals 3x minus 4. And that is your answer. Okay, on number 3, they want you to write it in standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and write ax plus by equals c, so I know that that's what form I need to be in. And looking at this graph, the y-intercept was 0, -1, and then the slope was 2/3, and we figured that out using rise over run. You also could have done it previously just the way that we did the previous problem, finding 2 points and plugging into slope, the formula for slope. So now that we have our slope and our point, you can do one of two things. You can plug into slope-intercept form, because I have the slope and the intercept, or you can plug into point-slope form and go that way. I'm going to always do it that way, so I'm consistent, because the slope or the point-slope form will always work. So I'm going to stay consistent so you guys don't get confused. So that means y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y1 is -1, and m is 2/3, and then x minus 0. So add a line, change the sign. You get y plus 1 equals 2/3 x when I distribute the 2/3. Now, for standard form, you need your x and your y on one side and your constant on the other. So because my x is already positive, and you remember there's 2 things about a you have to remember. A cannot be negative, and a cannot be a fraction. Okay? So a is your coefficient with x. So a is a fraction, which we're going to have to deal with later. But a is positive as of right now. If I were to move x to this side, I would have to subtract it from both sides, which would then give me a negative x, or a negative a. So I'm going to leave it over here, and I'm going to move y over here with it. So I'm going to subtract y from both sides, which gives me 1 equals 2/3 x minus y. And I need to get rid of the fraction, but before I do that, I'm going to rewrite this as 2/3 x minus y equals 1, because that's what your choices on the PERT are going to look like. In order to get rid of this fraction, I need to multiply by the denominator. So I'm going to multiply the entire thing by 3. So that means a 3 there, a 3 there, and a 3 there. This first 3 cancels the denominator, which is the whole reason that we did that, leaving me 2x minus 3 times y is 3y equals 3. And now, because a is not a fraction or negative, we are in standard form. Number 5 says they want us to put it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go ahead and write y equals mx plus b. And they gave us the slope and the y-intercept. This is the only time that we can actually plug directly into slope-intercept form, because they gave us the slope, which we know is m, they gave us the intercept, which we know is b. So we can just plug them right in. -3 for m and 1 for b. And since they want it in slope-intercept form, that's our answer. In number 7, they want us to write it in slope-intercept form, and they gave it to us in standard form. So again, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. I need to get y isolated. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides, leaving me y equals, and remember, always write your x term first, -4x minus 22. That is all we need to do on that one. On number 9, they still also want it in slope-intercept. So again, y equals mx plus b. So all I need to do is isolate y. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides, leaving me y equals 5. So that means that the slope on this problem is 0. All right, number 11, they actually want me to write this in standard form. So I need ax plus by equals c. So first I'm going to distribute my 1/3, leaving me y plus 5 is equal to 1/3 x minus 2/3, because 1/3 times 2 over 1, if you multiply straight across, you get 2/3. Now I need my x's on one side, my y's on the other. So again, my x has the coefficient of a. My a is positive right now, so I don't want to move that. So I need to move everything else, basically. So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to add 2/3 to both sides, because we need to get our constants together. And that leaves me with y plus, we have 5 over 1 plus 2/3. So you need a common denominator. 1 goes into 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. And this fraction actually doesn't change. You add your numerators, keep your common denominator. So it's 17 over 3 equals 1/3 x. Now I'm going to move the y over, so my x and y are on the same side, and only the constant is on the other. So I have 17/3 equals 1/3 x minus y. And just like on the previous problem, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. 1/3 x minus y equals 17 over 3. So I'm in the right order, just like your choices on the PERT will be. However, in standard form, you cannot have a fraction as a. So I need to multiply the entire thing by 3. It's a 3 here, a 3 here, and a 3 here. This 3 and this 3 cancel, leaving me just 1x. Minus 3 times y is 3y equals this 3 and this 3 cancel, leaving you 17. So your answer is x minus 3 equals 17. All right, number 13 actually asks us to write it in slope-intercept form. So again, you've got a point and a slope. You're going to plug into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So label your points x1, y1. And you're going to do y minus 1, because that's y1, equals 5/3, because that's your slope, x minus 3, because y1 is, or x1 is 3, I'm sorry. And on number 13, they want slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go ahead and write y equals mx plus b off to the side so I know what form to put it in. So you're going to distribute your 5/3, y minus 1 equals 5/3 x minus 5, because 5 over 3 times negative 3 over 1. These 3's cancel, leaving you negative 5 over 1. Then I'm going to add 1 to both sides to isolate my y, leaving me y equals 5/3 x minus 4. All right, number 15, they want it in standard form, so I'm going to write ax plus by equals c. And they gave us a point and a slope, so I'm going to label x1, y1. And then remember, we plug into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, which is point slope form. So y minus 4 equals negative 3/2 x minus negative 4. So that leaves me y minus 4 equals, I'm going to add a line, change the sign, negative 3/2 x minus 12 over 2. That's negative 3/2 times 4 over 1. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. 2 times 1 is 2. So we know that 12 over 2 is just 6. So I'm going to go ahead and write 6. Now we want it in standard form. So you need your coefficient for x, which is your a value, to be positive, and it can't be a fraction. Right now it's negative and a fraction. So in this case, we actually want to move the x to the other side so that we can get rid of the negative. But first, I'm going to go ahead and add 4 to both sides. Take care of our constant. So we have y equals negative 3/2 x minus 2. And now I'm going to add 3/2 x to both sides to get my x's and my y's together. And that will also take care of my a being negative. Oops. Okay, so then we have 3/2 x plus y is equal to negative 2. Now we cannot have a as a fraction, so we need to multiply the entire thing by 2. So that's a 2 here, a 2 here, and a 2 here. This 2 and this 2 cancel, leaving you 3x plus 2y equals negative 4. And that is your answer in standard form. All right, number 17 says you want to be written in slope-intercept. So that's y equals mx plus b through these 2 points. So I'm going to label them x1, y1, and x2, y2. You need a point and a slope in order to be able to make an equation of a line. So I need to use my formula for slope, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is negative 1 minus y1 is negative 4 over x2 is 0 minus x1 is 1. So here, a negative becomes a positive. So you have negative 1 plus 4 is 3. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So our slope is negative 3. So I have a slope of negative 3. And I'm going to choose the point 0, negative 1 because it has a 0 involved. So again, label x1, y1. You're going to plug into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So you have y minus negative 1 equals negative 3 times x minus 0. Add a line, change the sign. You get y plus 1 is equal to negative 3x when you distribute. They want this in slope-intercept form, so I just need to isolate my y, which gives me y equals negative 3x minus 1. (19) wants standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. But I've got 2 points again, so I need to label them x1, y1, x2, y2, and plug into the formula for slope, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 2 minus y1 is negative 5 over x2 is 0 minus 3 is x1. Add a line, change the sign. So your slope, 2 plus 5 is 7. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. So your slope is negative 7/3. And I'm going to choose the point 0, 2. Because it has a 0 in it, that'll make my life easier. Now that you have your point and your slope, you plug into point slope form. So I have y minus 2 is equal to negative 7/3 x minus 0. It doesn't matter where you put the negative, whether you put it in the numerator or denominator. So I have y minus 2 is equal to negative 7/3 x when I distribute. Now again, we've got a negative x, or a negative a, and a fraction for a. So I'm going to go ahead and move my x. But before I do that, I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get my constant in place, leaving me y equals negative 7/3 x plus 2. Now I'm going to add 7/3 to both sides, which will give me 7/3 x plus y is equal to 2. Now I just need to deal with the fact that a is a fraction by multiplying everything by 3. This 3 and this 3 cancel, leaving me 7x plus 3y equals 6. Okay, 21 gives you a point and says parallel to this line. Parallel lines have the same slope. So we're actually just going to go ahead and use the slope from this line. So my slope is 5/3, and they gave me this point. So I'm going to label it x1, y1. And I'm going to plug into point slope form. So I have y minus negative 2 is equal to 5/3 x minus negative 3. Add a line, change a sign. Add a line, change a sign. So I have y plus 2 is equal to 5/3 x plus 5. 5/3 times 3 over 1. The 3's cancel, leaving you 5 over 1. And on 21, they want this in slope-intercept form. So now all I need to do is isolate my y. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, giving me y equals 5/3 x plus 3. All right, same situation here for number 3, or 23, except they want it in standard form. So we need ax plus by equals c. Parallel, so we know same slope, so we're going to go ahead and use this slope. So my slope is negative 2x, sorry, my slope is just negative 2, and I'm going to use the point they gave me. So I plug into y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So y minus 2 is equal to negative 2, x minus 1. Go ahead and distribute your negative 2. So you have y minus 2 is equal to negative 2x plus 2. Here we have a situation where my coefficient with x, which we know is my a value, is negative. So I want to move my x to this side because that will make it positive. But first I'm going to go ahead and move my constant. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides, giving me y equals negative 2x plus 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 2x to both sides to get my x's and y's on the same side, which leaves me with 2x plus y is equal to 4. And I am in standard form at that point, so I'm good. 25 says, through the point negative 2, negative 3, perpendicular to y equals negative 1/4. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So I'm going to look at this slope, and I'm just going to flip it over and change the sign. If I flip over 1 over 4, I get 4 over 1, and it was negative, so I'm going to change it to positive. So my slope is just 4. And then I'm going to use the point that they gave me. I'll plug into point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I have y minus negative 3 is equal to 4 times x minus negative 2. Add a line, change a sign, add a line, change a sign, and then go ahead and distribute your 4. Giving you y plus 3 is equal to 4x plus 8. On number 25, they want it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So I just need to isolate y by subtracting 3 from both sides, which leaves you with y equals 4x plus 5. Not least, we've got through the point negative 5, negative 1, perpendicular to y equals 5/3 x plus 3. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes, so I'm going to take this slope, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to change the sign. It was 5/3, so if I flip it over, it becomes 3/5. It was positive, so I change it to negative. And we're going to use the point they gave us, so label it x1, y1, and we'll plug into, you guessed it, point slope form. So I have y minus negative 1 is equal to negative 3/5 times x minus negative 5. Add a line, change a sign, add a line, change a sign. Leaving you y plus 1 is equal to, go ahead and distribute, negative 3/5 x minus 3. Because negative 3/5 times 5 over 1, the 5's cancel, leaving you negative 3 over 1. And in 27, they want standard form, so I have ax plus by equals c. So again, my a is negative and a fraction, so I'm going to want to move the x to the other side. But first, I'm going to deal with my constant. So I subtract 1 from both sides, leaving me y equals negative 3/5 x minus 4. And now we're going to move my x to the other side, and that'll help us by making it positive, which gives me 3/5 x plus y is equal to negative 4. In order to deal with the fact that my a value is a fraction, we're going to multiply every term by the denominator, which is 5. These 5's cancel, leaving you 3x plus 5y equals negative 20. That is your final answer. And those are the odd problems of your worksheet. Please complete the evens.